set the record straight.
In this business, you only get one crack, one bite of the apple. You can't come back and relaunch hardware systems. It has to be done right.
There's no doubt that the machine will be very powerful, twice as much as the Saturn and PlayStation, but we all know power's not everything. Something that Nintendo's always had a good reputation for is the quality of its games, and that looks set to continue with the N64.
It's me, Mario!
So what games have they got lined up for it? Well, on launch, there'll be 7 titles available, including the amazing Super Mario 64. We managed to have a go recently at the E3 show in Los Angeles, and it really is a stunner. Oh. The joypad seems to have caused quite a storm too. This strange-looking device can do a lot more than the older-style pad could. Because a lot of the games are 3D, there's a joystick attached, which means you can maneuver around in all directions. Then there's the standard direction pad and 4 buttons, plus extra ones for firing, switching camera angles, or even snapping a photo of the game. Perfect for those unforgettable moments in games like Star Wings 64. At the back, there's a memory cartridge slot for saving games. The machine might be small, but it obviously packs a punch. The internals of the N64 are even more fascinating than the outside. This tiny chip is the machine's brain, and its power is equivalent to that of 10 home PCs. The major launch title has to be Super Mario 64, and this really does have to be played to be believed. It's good to see that all the best original features, like familiar enemies and music, have been kept. They've just been souped up a bit. If there was anything negative to say about the software, it would be that the game titles don't seem to be that original. But then again, the ones they're releasing are updates of some very popular games, and who's complaining about real-time 3D at this speed? But back to the company. Just over a year ago, Nintendo closed down their UK offices, but things were quickly taken over by a company called THE. What sort of people do they think will be playing the machine?
Some of the software titles that we're going to be producing will appeal to an older age group, and I think it will be broader than 16-bit in terms of its age appeal. But I think we will be appealing in terms of software from a much younger age, perhaps, than PlayStation or Saturn does.
And speaking of their competitors, they've been keeping a very close eye on developments. What did they make of it all?
There's been so much hype about the product, and no, we're not worried about it at all. And the Mario game looks good, but it's really the only one, and the others I think are really very disappointing.
Strong words indeed. The only complaint most people seem to have about the N64 is the ever-changing launch date. At the moment, they're looking something like this: summer for Japan, autumn for the US, and the end of the year for Europe. But why all the delays?
We had a few technical problems in reaching that goal, but the primary reason we delayed was because we wanted to finish up Super Mario 64. Mr. Miyamoto felt he needed a few more months on that game, and it's kind of like asking George Lucas to rush Star Wars. It's not a really bright idea to do that.
Well, I suppose we've all waited this long. What's another couple of months to play games like this? You're looking at an exclusive peek at Broken Sword, an epic adventure game from the people who brought you Lure of the Temptress and Beneath a Steel Sky. As in all good adventure games, it's up to you to stop the baddies from taking over the world. And these ones seem to have world domination at the top of their agenda. The game's lead character is George Stobbard, an American in Paris who just so happens to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. An ancient manuscript which dates back to the 14th century has fallen into the hands of the bad guys, so it's your job to guide George through an historical backdrop, searching for the manuscript, which has to be found, for the secrets of its past could have a disastrous effect on the future. Oh no! Broken Sword isn't due for release until later in the year, but it's definitely looking like a game to watch out for. The attention to detail, along with the hands-on graphics, is breathtaking. PC owners look like they're in for another great adventure game to add to their collection.